Shall we start?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over to you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure and a privilege to introduce our speaker at the Leadership Lecture Series today. Atul started Scriptbox as he felt strongly that India deserved better than what was on offer for the common investor. Having spent over 15 years in building businesses in South Africa, UK, and India, Atul brings expertise and experience in taking companies from 10 to 100 and beyond. He has held leadership positions at Coates Viella, Standard Chartered, Old Mutual, and Capital One in his corporate life. After two stints in building new businesses as an entrepreneur, he started his own entrepreneurship journey with Probe Information Services, now the leading provider on corporate information in India. At Scriptbox, Atul is in charge of growth, and his mission is to help 1 million families achieve financial freedom by making Scriptbox the preferred partner in their wealth creation journey. He is passionate about entrepreneurship, and apart from founding and scaling two successful startups, Scriptbox and Probe Information Services, both well funded by leading VCs in the world, he also actively mentors a number of startups, including being involved with NSR-SEL. He is a regular speaker at FinTech and entrepreneurship forums. Atul is an alumnus of Mayo College, IIT Madras, and IIM Bangalore. I would like to request the participants to please post their questions in the chat, and they will be answered at the end of the session. Thank you. Over to you, Atul.
Thanks, Sujata. It's always a pleasure to interact with the campus, and also it's a very humbling experience. So I hope I can do justice to this invite and share my experiences over the last sort of 35 years of my career. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining us on this Friday evening. I'm sure you got better things to do, and I hope I can spend some time sharing what I learned. So a little bit of background. I'm one of those very privileged children, but from a very humble background. I come from my father was in the army, retired as a lieutenant general. My brother is serving army general now. So come from and the army life is very good, but obviously money is a different issue. So a very humble background. Got lucky to get into IIT Madras. This is in the year of the Lord 87. I came from a public school called Mayo College, which very rarely does anybody go to IIT. I was in Ganga Hostel, so I introduced myself as a Ganga Hostel boy more than I say IIT Madras, because those roots run much deeper. And as it's more today about lessons, I'll try and sort of weave in some stories and some lessons as I go along on this journey over the last 30 years. The first lesson I learned was both a lesson in humility and also a lesson in self-confidence. So I was an NTS scholar, national, I'm sure a lot of you are, and I thought I was a cat's whiskers, came from a school in Rajasthan, arrived in IIT Madras, sort of saying, hey, because those days, the NTS scholarship paid for your college fees. So you didn't have to pay any tuition fees. So, and you had to go and register yourself at the person. I went like a very, I'm the only guy around. So I asked somebody in the admin block, where is this NTS, where do we register? He said, stand in queue. And there were 250 other people in the line. So that was my first lesson in humility. However sharp you are, there are much sharper people than you. The second was actually, I was a naval architect student, right? And I've never been a very good student. And in the hierarchy of IIT, you're the dredges or you're the bottom of the hierarchy. But because I had self-confidence and I knew I could do something, I ended up being the General Secretary of Sports. I was very involved in cultural activities and had that so what? I mean, if you are not the smartest academically, you can always do a lot. So the simple thing for all of you is, irrespective of the branch you are, have a great time on campus. You can't, it's a time you'll miss. The second thing I also always talk about, and I went to IIM Bangalore after that, partly by design, partly because I was lazy and didn't want to pick up a job and didn't want to go abroad. So I wrote the CAT exam, got whatever, and got into IIM Bangalore, stayed out IIT. The one thing I always tell students, both across these campuses, and my lessons are that This is the time to network, not network for the sake of sort of building your careers, but making friends. My dearest friends, even today, after so many years, are people who I went to college with, both at IIT and some at IIM. So make sure that in this time, you're not competing with each other, but collaborating with each other. And the reason I say that is because for you, remember, you are the elite, right? While you might feel pressure that there's other people who are doing better, etc., you will succeed. Success is guaranteed. For example, I mean, I was just telling somebody, we were in Wing 3 in Ganga Hostel. And of that 16, one is secretary to the government of India. One person runs the largest fashion retail company in the country. One person founded BillDesk, which has had a $5 billion exit. I'm not so successful. I have 2 startups. So just remember, for you, you are the best. Success is guaranteed. So don't get worried. Will I get placed? Do I need to get better grades? Just thoroughly enjoy yourself. I remember talking to Bhaskar Ramamurthy, the previous director, and they found a clear correlation between not only academic excellence, but also the extracurricular activities you do. So my advice, or not advice, I'm no one to advise you, but my suggestion to you is take part in activities, take part in some clubs, do more, make friends, play sport, do cultural studies. You'll do well, right? That's why you're here. So use this time on campus effectively. It's a great campus. It's got so many options for you to do. So get out of that room, get rid of the laptop, finish this lecture first, and then go do that. So once I finished IIT, went to IIM. Again, I'm not a very good student, just a lucky person who writes exams very well. Again, I was not academically excellent. I was somewhere in the I used to joke, right? We were about, I think, 200 students or something in IIM, and I used to announce my rank as 3, 4, 5. We were 3 very close friends. We said we forgot to add the 100 in front of it, so we were 103, 104, 105, but did reasonably well in our careers. So again, the lesson from IIM was learn very hard on things you enjoy, chase your passion. So I'll now come to my corporate life. I hope I'm not boring you guys. I started my career from IIM at a company called Madura Coats. Some of you might be from Madurai, so you'll know the Taj on top of the hill was actually the house of the MD of Madura Coats. Great 5 years, probably the best learning in my corporate career. So what Madura Coats did was put you on the ground, right? I remember I had all these fancy degrees, and what they did was, in their learning, and this is for you when you build your careers, they put you out on the ground, right? So I thought I was this really overeducated, really catty guy, and I'd be a big senior manager very soon. And they gave me a bag full of thread, and I had to sell thread tube by tube to tailors. And the philosophy was that if you've not done the work yourself on the ground, you will never realize what it takes, right? So your expectations are unreal, etc. So we sold thread tube by tube. So that 12-month training at Madura Coats actually involved doing every task that anybody in the company did. Packing thread, working as a cashier. And since I love telling stories, I'll tell you a story about one of my bosses, and who's now still my mentor. So one of the jobs you had to do while you were in as a trainee was a cashier job, right? And those days there was no UPI, there was no internet. This is the year of the Lord 93. I was in a place called Indore. You sold thread to retailers, and they gave it to you, and you collected a lot of cash, right? And in the evening every day, you had to balance the cash, that how much came in, did it come into your books? And by 5 o'clock, the office shut down, and I couldn't balance the books. And what they did was they sent the person doing the job on leave, so that you did it independently after you shadowed them. And for the life of me, I couldn't balance the books, right? And I didn't know what to do. And it was only 10 rupees, and you were collecting about 1 lakh, 2 lakhs those days every day. And I couldn't find that 10 rupees. So I called my boss. I said, hey, Yadav, I'm sorry, but I can't balance these books. Something is wrong. There's 10 rupees missing. And believe it or not, he stood in front of me, pulled it out of his pocket and gave it to me, right? He said, I wanted to check on you, that what would you do? Because 10 rupees is not a large amount. Will you open your own purse and put the money in? What would you do? And that was a big lesson to me in character, right? Somebody was testing me, and God, thankfully for me, I turned out. And that's the lesson which stayed with me, that do whatever you do, right? And being a cashier after you have all these degrees doesn't sound like a very fancy job. but do it to the best of your ability, do it honestly, and it'll build you serious character and strength. And that stood me in good. So I did that for 5 years. It was a very privileged job at Madura Courts, selling thread. But then I decided, and this is sort of the advice I would have when you make career choices. I'd gone to Madura Courts, it was an exciting company. But then I sort of analyzed and looked at where I was. I had grown pretty senior very quickly. I was a senior branch manager at 28, living on the Burley Sea Face, chauffeur-driven car, large job. But it was very boring, right? And then I realized that, hey, how should one person choose a job? And this is a framework I even now hold true for everybody I mentor or advise. First and foremost, look at the industry. The industry should be high growth. It should be exciting. It should be somewhere where you believe is the future. Textile was not when I was, right? So I went to banking. I moved to Standard Chartered. Secondly, look at the company, the culture of the company. What is the reputation of that company? How does it? So there are good companies and there are bad companies. I mean, it's a public forum, so I won't name it, but you will know. You will know where there are good management and what are the like today you have all these reviews online. So just read up about the company, read about the culture, read about if you have some friends who work there, figure out how it is. Thirdly, figure out your role. Are you going to make a difference to the company? Are you going to play, and how a junior you are, even if you're starting your career, are you in the heart of the company? Right? The example I used to give, now it's obviously changed. And IBM, if you're not in hardware, it's no use being in the company, right? Because they are a hardware company, and going and joining some other division is not so powerful. So when you join a company, make sure that you are in the heart of the business, and then look at your salary. Unfortunately, we all invert the pyramid. The first thing we look at in placement is how much I'm going to get paid. It doesn't matter in the long run, right? It all equalizes very, very quickly. And probably because I'm old, I can say this, but I tell this to my own daughters, right? That it's important that you have these filters and you think through your career. So I switched from Madura Courts to, it was a great company, but that's not what to say, to Standard Chartered. Did a great job there. No, I had a great job there. Not I did a great job. Grew very, very quickly. Learned a lot about, again, a life lesson there was that though I was in sales, which was basically, so you see, you get these creepy calls from your guys, right? So, sir, please take a credit card. I was one of those guys getting my people to do those calls. But did it very differently. We grew very fast. But I spent all my time actually with the other parts of the business, credit, collections, customer service, to learn about the business. And that's what Madura Courts had taught me, that don't focus only on what you do, but learn the entire job, which is what helped me grow in my career very, very quickly. Madura Courts, Standard Chartered was a great company, but with a very poor culture. And I had got that wrong. I had got the industry right, I had got the company right, but within the division I was in, the culture was not very great. So after spending about 18 months there, I switched to a great company called Capital One, but they moved me abroad. They moved me to the UK for a year, which is what was mentioned. Then I moved to South Africa. And that taught me what a great company really looks like, right? In terms of people practices, in terms of respect, in terms of culture, and how you do things. And that actually then from UK, I got moved to South Africa in a joint venture with a company called Old Mutual. And if anybody from the financial service industry, you'll realize it is the largest financial services company in South Africa. We were in a JV, again, learned a lot about what mergers mean, right? I mean, all of you are very young. This is way before your time. But culture matters a lot, right? So there we were, the Capital One is an American company, average age of 35, of very senior people. We were in a partnership with a company called Old Mutual or Nedbank there, average age 55. Those guys came to office in suits, and those days apartheid had just moved out. So all of these are white Afrikaans guys. And the Americans were much younger. And there was a cultural clash. So in about 2-3 years, that broke up. I was the odd one out. I was an Indian in this whole mix. So I stayed on. I stayed on in the group. I spent 7 years there. Beautiful, beautiful time of my life. Had the privilege of, after running sort of different roles, was in American Express card operations, running as chief operating officer. Then was head of so all these new things which you all hear about, buy now, pay later, we were doing in 2005. I ran a consumer credit business. Then I got promoted upstairs, and I learned another lesson in how to build a business, right? So we ended up building probably the world's first digital bank assurance venture. What that means is we built a full stack bank, which bank is home loans, personal loans, car loans, savings accounts, a full stack general insurance company. So for car insurance, health insurance, home insurance, and a life insurance company, all rolled into one for customer facing businesses, and only digital means they were only for we didn't have any branches or didn't have anything else. Built it out, great lesson on how to build something, had a great team which did this with me. And it was, but the beauty of it was actually like an entrepreneur's role, right? Because we started with a 2-man team with an idea, built up a 250-man team and the business. But the lesson was that the empire strikes back, right? So the hard corporate lesson was that though we were a startup and doing things differently, I remember going to these so-called CEOs meetings, the other 3 CEOs with 25,000 employees each, because these are bricks and mortar companies, right? The group Old Mutual already had a full life insurance company, a full bank, and a full general insurance company. I was the 4th guy trying to build a combined business across all of these, but purely online, purely digital, as they call it now. And our byline used to be, I don't know if you all know Elvis Presley, there's "the king is dead, long live the king." Similarly, "banks are dead, long live banking," was our strap line, that we'd do it, we'd kill the banks, but banking would live through something like the business we were building. Unfortunately, we had to shut it down, partly corporate politics, partly the 2007 financial crisis. It hurts when you stand in front of 250 people who've given their life for you. I was just sort of a founder CEO of that too, and shut it down, came back to India in 2008 to set up an asset management company. So I don't know how many of you know the industry. It's actually mutual funds. So we were supposed to build a mutual fund company in India. This is in 2008. Built a team, applied to SEBI for a license, appointed a CEO, was building a wealth management company, and then Lehman Brothers happened, right? So obviously 2 times lucky, and that too had to shut down. So I realized that when I was about 40 years old or 39, there was a writing on the wall that however successful you are in corporate life, circumstances outside your control can do something to you. God was kind enough that we had a little bit of money in the bank. I decided not to pursue a corporate career. I took a year sabbatical, traveled, spent time with my children, played a lot of golf, etc. But then I said, okay, let me try something else. And this is now by 2009. India was really opening up, right? 2000. So we are a very lucky generation. So I am the generation which is 91 out of IIT Madras, 93 out of IIM Bangalore. This is before your time. A lot of you were not even born. 91 is when the liberalization happened, right? And salaries just went through the roof. I remember my first paycheck was 4,000 rupees long ago. And I remember telling my daughter about 4 or 5 years ago when she was buying a shoe and she was choosing between 2. And I said, hey, do you realize that the shoe which you just bought is more than my first salary, right? I should work for a month to earn your shoe. But that said, things really did well for our careers. And then 2009, 2010 is when the VC industry in India opened up, right? And I happened to be in the right place. So I'm just a lucky guy, an accidental entrepreneur. I started spending time with some of the venture capital guys. Flipkart had just got funded. I was helping Sachin and Binny Bansal with a few things. And I got excited. I said, hey, I got together with a friend and became an entrepreneur. So I'm a genuine accidental entrepreneur. It was not that I had this burning passion. But once I got into it, there's been no looking back. It's been the most exciting journey in my life. I can carry on speaking for probably 3 hours on why entrepreneurship is the future. My father, God bless his soul, once told me that if people like you don't provide employment to others, who will? So this is a call out to all you youngsters who are privileged to go to IIT. Your destiny lies in building your own thing. God is kind to you. They've given you the intelligence. They've given you the opportunity. So when you do get a chance, go build something. And the time will come. I'm not saying some of you might do it out of campus. So the lessons as an entrepreneur are too many, but 3 or 4 I'll just highlight. The first and foremost is the power of conviction, right? You have to believe in what you do. It's the courage of conviction that I'm doing the right thing, and combine it with what I call raw ambition, right? You have to think big, you have to think scale. You have to believe that you can build something great, even in a job. I'm not even talking about just be hungry for knowledge, be hungry for something big. The country needs people like you to build something great, and that's been my belief, that you should believe in what you're doing, because it's a difficult journey, right? You'll get it right, you'll get it wrong many times. The other is around uh, positive energy, right? I mean, as you can probably see, just my personality is that it helps me get through difficult times, because entrepreneurship is a lonely journey. It has its ups and it's got its downs. But just believing and having that energy is really important. The next is about trust, right? Always assume positive intent. And I'll say this with a joke. Your professor is giving you bad grades, or you getting an extra assignment, don't worry. They have your best interest in mind. They're not out there to hurt you. Trust them. It's positive intent that they're doing what they're doing with you. And last but not the least, commitment, right? And commitment is all about follow up, follow through, stay focused. So these are some of my some simple lessons. Other things, values I live with are two simple things. So every company has values, right? Integrity, respect, etc. We have only two values at Scriptbox. Do the right thing. Do the right thing is about ethics. So do unto others what you expect them to do to you. So whether it is about how you pay your employees, how you treat your vendors, how you treat your customers, how you switch off the lights on time, every small thing matters. And ethics are about when nobody's watching. What will you do when nobody's watching is what ethics. Ethics is not a function of time and place. Ethics is an absolute. So do the right thing each and every time, all the time, and do it right. And do it right is about excellence. So when you do something, just do it right. If you make a mistake, learn from it. The next time, don't make the same mistake. So we just follow these very simple philosophies. You can write big words. So do the right thing is about integrity, respect, trust. Do it right is about excellence, strive, customer centricity, etc. But that's how we run Scriptbox. And yeah, so that's my simple lesson. The last story I will tell you before I hand it over to you to ask me any questions, if there are any. And now some of you will become entrepreneurs, I hope. The entrepreneur lesson I always talk about is the entrepreneurial journey is like building a hotel, right? And why I say this is that when you're starting up, right, and it's about building your team, right? Because all of you will become entrepreneurs, you'll figure out how to build your team. So, and how do you scale that team? So when you're building the hotel, or before you build the hotel, you need planners, you need architects, you need designers. As you're building the hotel, you need carpenters, you need masons. Imagine you're putting the kitchen together for the hotel. You need people who can put in the equipment. You can decide. You might have a chef, but you don't need too many. When you're running the hotel, you need front office staff, you need waiters, you need chefs. So you need very different skills in every journey. And as companies grow, you need all of these skills, because you're always building, right? You're always building, but you also need to run. So as you build your companies, keep this analogy in mind, that somebody who's a great carpenter might not be great at front office, right? And that making sure that you're building the right team and the right mix as you build these organizations for yourself is really, really important, because these are different skills. And while everybody wants to do everything, it's not always possible. So with that, I'll stop. Happy to, I mean, I can, as I said, I can carry on, Shweta, Sujata, for as long as you want. I've got enough stories to tell, but maybe I'll answer some questions and stories, but I'll hand it back to you if there are any questions. Otherwise, I hope I've not taken too much time on a Friday evening from all of you and bored you to death.
No, not at all. That was fascinating to hear, listen to. Thank you. We'll wait for the questions. Shweta, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, we have questions prior to the session and during the session also. So Monisha will moderate the question.
So once again, good evening, sir. And I'm Monisha, and I'm from Civil Engineering Department, an undergraduate student. So there are a few questions from students, so I'll be asking you them. So let's get started. So the first question is that, sir, you are in very high position in the corporate job that you have worked. So what made you to take risk and lead to startup? So why didn't you continue with the job and the lifestyle that you had? So that was the first question.
Is your name Vandana Shinghal? My wife? No. So she asked me the same question. So it's a difficult choice because I think I was fortunate. As I said, because I was on a sabbatical, right? I'd done reasonably well in my corporate career and I had these choices to make. So if you look at my LinkedIn profile, it actually says deciding what not to do. Right? So I spent time thinking about, and the same framework, what would I enjoy? What had happened was that I would have to go back abroad, and I had one more business card said global product manager, or I'm being sorry, I'm being unhumble and vain, but I would have ended up there. So I somehow felt, and because there was this energy in this ecosystem which was just emerging in India, I felt like I wanted to give it a try. So it was a hard decision, much more decision hard for the family. So God was kind. I had a bit of money in the bank, and I've been very prudent. I'm a baniya, so I understand how to manage money. So a combination of a bank balance, a desire to do something different, my father's words that you should do something, and if you don't provide employment, who will? A combination of all of that helped me make the decision to venture out. I always knew I had a exit plan. I had a backup plan. So if it didn't work in 3 to 5 years, I knew if I made a few phone calls, I was sure, maybe not at the same level, I would find a job. So I had this, as I said, and I tell the same thing to you, success is guaranteed, right? People want people like you. You have to have that confidence, right? That you are very good. So if you have that, then the world is your oyster.
That was great, sir. Thank you for the answer. And I'll ask the next question. So what is the first step to be taken towards entrepreneurship in general? So what did you take?
Sorry for that. First step is belief in yourself. Not the idea, nothing unique. I mean, obviously. So first thing is belief, that I believe in myself. I believe that I can do this. Something, not because I want valuation, not because I'll get on the front page of a newspaper. I just believe in myself. That's the first step. The second is you have to be either creating a revenue opportunity for somebody, for a customer. There's a customer. Entrepreneurship is only around customers, right? So you can't, and I joke with a lot of people, you can't build a hammer. And so with due respect to all the techies, very often techies are very excited about the technology, but they don't know what problem they're solving, right? So I say it's like a hammer looking for a nail. It can't be. You have to know that there's a nail, there's a wall. So the similar analogy is make sure you know the customer problem you're solving, and that customer is going to pay for that. Either you're creating a revenue opportunity for them, or you're creating some cost saving for them. They're the only two things people will pay for, that you improve their revenue profile or you reduce their cost. So do not think about entrepreneurship as just building great technology. So what problem will you solve, and will somebody pay you for that? So unless you're very clear, so have belief in yourself and make sure that you can articulate why somebody will pay you for what you do is absolutely critical when you get started on this journey. That's the only simple answers I have. I won't talk about size of market and your uniqueness. Those they will figure out, right? Because unless there is if you're solving a problem, you're solving a problem, and it's a real problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the answer. So what should be the ideal mindset of a person shifting from corporate world to entrepreneurship? So previously, what did you had when you were having this kind of shift?
As I said, I'm an accidental entrepreneur, but I advise and I mentor enough people. The ideal mindset is that I can do differently. I can build something. I can create value for myself. I can create value for people I hire. I can create something unique. So I think the mindset is about the risk appetite, courage of conviction, raw ambition, risk appetite, commitment. Same things. It's the same list, and it comes from inside. I mean, it's very difficult for me to say. If you don't have the risk-taking ability, then maybe see, corporate life is very good. I mean, all my friends are corporate senior executives, done very, very well. So I'm not. It's a personal choice what you want to do, because there is no joy like seeing the first time a customer uses your product and pays you for it. I'm telling you, it's unequaled joy. And I was telling Sutata, I think once. For us, the most exciting thing we've seen, and I've built a business called Probe, which is the leading information provider in India. CVs of bankers now, right? You know what a resume is. The banker CVs now say, we know how to use Probe 42, or we are qualified to use Probe. So when your business becomes a noun, like Xerox, That's when you know you build something great. So yeah, that joy will never happen in a regular corporate career. So that you will jump when you feel you have the risk-taking ability, you have that energy, you have that excitement. Maybe a softer landing is go join a high energy startup, see what it feels like, and then go do your own thing. So maybe it's a step in that journey.
Okay, thank you, sir. So the next question is, as an entrepreneur, if your startup is not working well, so what is your view on fail fast?
So have an exit plan. So what do you mean not working well? Depends on what you define as that. Is it not that you're not getting funded? Is it that your product is not working? The customer is not paying for it? So it depends what's not working, right? If you decide to go on, take on Google, it's unlikely you will work well, right? Solving a problem, solved problem already. Yeah, you should have an exit plan. I always tell people, the other matakya kalam I have is, it always takes longer, it always costs more. So don't get too worried. 3 to 5 years, give yourself enough time. Yeah, unless you run out of capital, then it's a very different thing. So fail fast is on the idea, but pivot quickly, right? So you're trying 5, 6 things. Don't shut down the idea, right? This might not work. I remember when we started Probe, we were a physical report writing company. We pivoted to private companies. We pivoted to a platform, and then we scaled. So it takes time. Companies pivot. Fail fast, yes, but fail fast on that particular experiment, not on the business. Right? So fail fast is on multiple experiments very quickly. I hope you don't give up on the business unless regulations change, or you just run out of money, or a big competitor comes into your space. And then there are obviously markers on, you'll realize that this is not going to work out. But don't feel bad about it. I mean, failed entrepreneurs are amongst the most successful people. Believe me, it's not failure of you, it's failure of the idea. Don't confuse yourself to be the idea, right? You're just executing what you thought was right. Your intent was pure. So don't take failure hard. Failure is good. It teaches you lessons. I want to answer this question. How was your Insti life like? What teams were you part of, and what have you been doing during college? So I'll confess on one thing. Have you all heard about a story about a cycle hanging in thin air? Is it a famous story? No, I don't know if it's still popular. It is urban legend that if you've seen the wings, right, we hung up a cycle with a thick rope, right, and cut the rope off. So now when you got up in the morning, all you could see was a cycle, right, hanging in midair. There's a long story behind it, so I'll not bore you. But yeah, that was some of the stuff we were up to when we were young. Now I played every sport. I played hockey for the institute. I was G6 sports. But at Intra-IIT, I've played kabaddi, I've played hockey, I've played football. I used to be in the hostel cricket team. Active sports person. Before I came to IIT, and this is not to show off, I actually was a national sailor. So I have a silver medal in Asian Games, not the Asian Games, but Asian Championship in sailing. I'm a national. So I'm very bad at studies, as you can make up. I'm just a very poor student. So I made up by playing sport.
Okay, sir. So during initial stages of startup, how difficult was the team formation? Like, how did you convey the idea among the other people who are having the same spirit?
Yeah, this is that whole I'm talking about, for building hotel, right? So to find these skills, I was lucky because I had 2 stints as a corporate entrepreneur, right? I told you about what I did in South Africa. So I knew how to look for the right people. You have to, and again, the other advice is try not to go it alone. Find a co-founder with complementary skills. The mistake we made in Probe was that both of us were very similar. So it took us some time to find a tech partner. So find complementary skills. Make sure if you are all techies, find somebody who's good at sales. So one thing I always say, people underestimate the value of sales. So I was mentoring at NSR Cell, and I asked, they're all very good at the product, they're very good at technology, but they don't know how to sell. And they find selling to be an abuse word. And I say, if you don't sell, what is the value? Hindi mein they say, na, jungle mein mor nacha kisne dekha. If there's a peacock dancing in the forest, who sees it, right? So unless you're out there selling actively, so find those in the initial stages. Teams are not difficult, right? If you have enough energy, like I have, or passion, people will join you. People will join you if they believe in you, they believe in the idea, they believe in the scalability, and they have skin in the game. So you have to be liberal with equity in the beginning. So people have skin in the game, be liberal with ESOPs. And find the complementary skills. I see, so you have to have alignment on values and ethics and culture, but not necessarily on skill sets, right? Skill sets have to be complementary. So if somebody is good at building, somebody is good at selling, somebody is good at design, somebody is good at people. So it's that combination which builds a great team. Conviction is, as I said, if you have conviction, it just shows through. It comes through. Manisha, over to you.
Yes. Really, that was the good insight that you gave, sir. Because most of the people. Okay, sir. So the next question is, I have heard that many startups fail because they don't have unique business model. So my question is, how to identify unique business in India and do market research?
So I don't know what a unique business model means. It's about a large enough business problem to solve, like I said, right? So startups fail because customers are not ready to pay for your idea. So if you're not clear why the customer is going to pay for it, then it's likely to fail. I mean, there are many reasons startups fail. So I don't think business models fail as such so early. I mean, obviously funding, market conditions, regulations, larger player, etc. So how do you find a unique business model? Very difficult to answer. Depends on your area. But I think the startup ecosystem in India is very nascent. It's very early doors yet. If you compare ourselves to Silicon Valley or Israel or something, there is such a long way to go. Get started. Things will flow is my simple advice. Difficult to answer the question around how do you find a unique business model? Find a real business problem and find a different solution is the business model I've talked about. So find a real business company problem, a customer problem, either revenue or cost, and find a unique way to solve it, right? So that it is better than anybody else has solved that. So, and if you can do that, there's a business to be had.
Okay, sir. So the next question is from an online BSc degree student. So actually they have missed the offline way of college and everything. So he is completely like demotivated due to that. And he is asking some advice for you to overcome this feeling. And he's also asking how to connect to people through LinkedIn. So there are many contacts in LinkedIn, but how to connect and how to find people.
So it's a difficult question to answer, right? My own daughters, my younger one's at Ashoka in her second year. She was so frustrated at staying at home in the first year. So as a parent, it was great, right? We had girls at home, both the daughters are at home. So, but for them, it was quite frustrating now that they're on campus. So the answer is get out there. I mean, I don't know the answer. I'm going to make a request to Sujata, get these people back on campus. That's the only answer I can give. LinkedIn is a difficult one. Yeah. See, I think if you're connecting to people on LinkedIn, be very clear. Don't just randomly send a request out, right? I get 30, 40 a day. I ignore them. It's impossible to do it. Have a little bit of a write-up why that person should connect to you. So don't write to me, please. I mean, I have 1,000 connections. Then you don't get any relevance. Find people who can help you. Right. And have a real reason you want to talk to them, that I want to learn this particular skill from you, or I want to connect with you, or I'm looking for a job. Can you connect me to your HR? So be very specific. So LinkedIn is both a public and a private space. So that's the answer I have. I wish you well, my young friend. Motivation is internal. Go out there. I mean, I'm sure wherever you live, there are play sport. Yeah, I'm a big fan of sport. So figure out if there is badminton or cricket or football, whatever you can play, get out there, play something, meet people, play a team sport. And I'm sure wherever you are, you can do that. And I'm hopeful that very soon you'll finish your degree and you'll get into a corporate career. And I insist that there's no more work from home at Scriptbox. You have to come to office. I believe in the connect of people. That's my personal bias.
Thank you, sir. That was good suggestion for that. Okay. So the next question, have to be consistent and productive every day.
You can't be. That's a myth. You can't. You have your up days and down days. Make sure you're clear on your focus. So I have a very strong belief in a to-do list. If you have a to-do list and you're ticking off stuff and you're not carrying forward anything, So I try to 2-3 rules. I try to not sleep on a full inbox. So the equivalent of a to-do list is inbox, right? You've cleared your emails, you've answered everything you've done. Start your day with a to-do list. Make sure at the end of the day, you know what you achieved. And just that simple discipline of knowing what you're achieving every day helps. That motivates you, right? Because you've done something. And the other challenge as an entrepreneur is it's like boxing with the clouds, right? Because it takes a long time and you'll be really busy all day long. And at the end of the day, you've got nothing to show for it. And it's difficult to be motivated every day. So don't even try. It doesn't work that way, right? You have good days, you have bad days, but there'll be more good days than bad days on the average. That's how life is typically, right? If you compare your parents to your lifestyle choices, we have mobile phones, we have the internet, we have so much more compared to our parents, right? If I compare, my children are so much better off, and I hope they can grab those opportunities. And I hope their children grab even bigger opportunities. So my view on this is that, yes, you can't be motivated every day. It doesn't work that way. You will have bad days, take them in your stride. As long as you have more good days than bad days, and it's up to you, right? And the way to make more good days is have a to-do list and achieve it. There is no other more satisfying thing than achieving. So, and keep the to-do list simple. Don't start with such a long list. Right. So keep it material, do it, enjoy it, move to the next one.
Okay, sir. So moving on to the next question. So what methods do you use for making decision under difficult circumstances? What are your suggestions regarding that? In difficult circumstances, how to face it?
So how do I take decisions? Yeah, I think it's a combination of intuition, experience, data analysis, seeking expert help. So all of these depending on the situation. Remember, very few problems are unique. Somebody's been there before. Seek help, seek mentorship, reach out to people. So I'm a big believer in trying to figure out who would have solved this problem before, and reach out, ask, seek help. Use intuition. God is kind. You have immense intellect. Don't be over analytical. And this too shall pass. Who thought COVID when we were in the middle of this second wave? It seemed impossible, right? There didn't seem like an end to it. This too shall pass. At my age, I can say that. In Scriptbox, we manage money. Markets go up and down, and people lose money, and then you think this is the end of the world, and crypto crashes. But this too shall pass. So if you have that belief that this too shall pass and a better day is ahead of you, you can face difficult times. And in terms of solutions, use intuition, use your experience. And I'm a big fan of writing down, right? So when in a difficult situation, I know you guys are all computer things, but I am still an old world pen and paper guy. I'll write down the problem, draw a mental map. Okay, this is the problem. These are possible solutions. Let me see what I can work with. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure IIT teaches you this very well, right? Well, what did IIT teach you? I'm a naval architect, but it taught me problem solving. It taught me how to very quickly, because you have these quizzes every day, right? They'll throw you every second day as a quiz, and some random quiz will happen to you. So it teaches you how to take exams. It teaches you to prepare, think on your feet. So use those skills which you have learned to your advantage.
Okay, sir. So the next question is, any plan for Scriptbox to go public?
Wow, you're now talking like I was just with my investors about a couple of hours ago at my board meeting. Yes, we are. Right? In a couple of years, we should. God is kind. We are pretty big. We've grown about 10x in the last about 7-8 quarters. And yeah, we should be ready to go public. And yeah, we will reach out to you to subscribe to those shares in about a couple of years from now.
Waiting for it, sir. All the best for that.
Thank you very much.
So what is your take on artificial intelligence as an area of opportunity for upcoming entrepreneurs? So is it a good area to work upon?
Depends again. So this is the exact example I told you. It's like a hammer without a nail, right? So AI on its own is of no value. It's a problem you're solving, and I call it applied intelligence. Artificial intelligence is artificial. So for me, AI is applied intelligence. Where are you applying that intelligence to solve a problem? So as long as there's a real problem to solve, which a customer is ready to pay for, it's a good thing to do. So, I mean, AI is just a tool, right? It just helps you solve the problem faster at a larger scale on a larger volume. But the problem has got to be real, right? So when as I was saying, I was ex-Capital One. I'm basically an analyst at heart. I sound like a sales guy, but basically I enjoy numbers, building scorecards. And what we did 20 years ago using regression analysis, linear map modeling, Now you can do it at a much larger scale, much data sets, and that's all AI does for you, right? It helps you solve problems. And as long as you're using it to solve real world problems, which customers are ready to pay for, then yeah, it's a great thing for young entrepreneurs. But just AI for the sake of it, I don't know what you'll do with it.
Okay, sir. So the next question is, according to you, what are 3 simple characteristics a leader should have in himself?
Oh, belief, empathy, and courage. So believe in yourself, have strong empathy, listen very well. These are obviously deep words, right? Belief is in yourself, your idea, your ethics, how you approach problem solving. The empathy is about being real, being human, understand the other person's perspective, listen very, very well, listen attentively, listen actively, realize what the consequences of your actions on the people are, and obviously courage in your conviction that you have to believe you have to be a good leader. And there are 2 kinds of leaders. There are, unfortunately, though I come from an army background, I'm not a leader who leads in the front, right? There are people who say, follow me down this path. I'm much more of a shepherd. I stand behind, I set direction, I guide people in the right direction. So yeah, that combination of it's a personal style. There are no good, bad leaders. It's all your personal choice. What you are comfortable with, what you think will energize you and get you out of bed is the right leader. Because it takes all kinds to make a world. But yeah, those are my 3. Belief. You should have belief in whatever you're doing as a leader. You should have courage of conviction, and you should have empathy. I mean, there are many more, but since you asked for 3.
So asking the final question and the last one. So your suggestion for the current students who are studying in IIT Madras?
Have fun, have so much fun that you feel embarrassed. That's my only advice, that you guys are excellent. Success is guaranteed. You're privileged. Just enjoy your time on campus. You should have walked every mile of it. You should have been to every sport facility. You should have taken part in cultural activities. Just make the most of that time. It will not come back. It will not come back. Make great friends. Study. I mean, that's naturally. I mean, you will. That's just the system will take care of that. Use the facilities very, very well. But make dear friends. Spend those sleepless nights talking about how you change the world. And have ambition. Ambition is a good thing, but good ambition is a good thing, not at the cost of somebody else. So, just enjoy life. Yeah, it's too short to be too serious.
Sir, there was another question. So one more I'm going to ask. Since you have built a successful business now, according to you, what mistakes did everyone else make?
I don't know about everybody else. I made my own share. So I can tell you about the mistakes I made while I was building businesses. The business choices you make, some of the people you hire. I mean, we've now hired many people over time. Sometimes you're in a hurry because there's an immediate problem to solve, and you hire in a hurry, you make a mistake. Cash is king, right? So as somebody I respect in this whole funding game, right? More people die of overeating than starvation. So don't just because you have too much money in the bank and you're funded, don't blow it up, right? So those are mistakes I've seen people make. Suddenly they'll get funded and their expenses will go through the roof. And unless you have a real revenue model, it becomes difficult. So those are mistakes. And since I came from corporate life, I took some time for me to realize the value of cash, right? As I said, I was a very senior executive, paid a stupid amount of money for doing nothing. And once you started building your own business, you realize the value of that money. So those are some of the learnings I've had, that cash is king. Make sure there's enough in the bank, but don't blow it up. Be humble.
Thank you, sir. So we have come to the end of the session. So on behalf of IIT Madras, I would like to extend a hearty vote of thanks to Atul sir for this insightful and engaging session. It was indeed a very informative session, sir. Thank you for taking out precious time from your busy schedule. I would also thank all the participants for their presence and making this session a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monisha. Thank you so much, Shweta and Sujata. And thank you to all the listeners. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I hope you take
No, sir,
away
not
at
at
least something
Not at all.
which
Not
is
at all.
value.
It's wonderful.
Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for having me join you all this evening. It's so energizing, right? Having lived on campus, to let's say virtually visit, and I promise I'll be there soon.
Looking forward to that. Thank
see you on
you.
campus sometime soon.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Cheers. Have a nice one.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Nice.